grab some. Take as much as you want. Let me try a piece before we get started. Okay, so I'm going to be reading off of my iPad. Oops, I just touched something and changed the screen. Okay, I'm not going to do that again. Alrighty, so first one. It is called AITA for refusing to volunteer as a doctor on a flight. I'm a male, mid-30s, a medical doctor working as an internal medicine hospitalist at a major hospital. Recently, I was on a long-haul international flight. Usually, I sleep on flights, but this was during my waking hours, so I decided to spend my time enjoying the in-flight entertainment and free drinks. Where does he get free drinks on a plane? I had already been drinking even before the flight while I was in the lounge. I was not slurring or excessively drunk, but I was feeling a strong buzz. Usually I don't chat with my co-passengers, I just sleep or do my own thing. On this flight, the configuration of the business class cabin was such that the passengers in the middle row were practically just beside each other. There was just a small barrier separating me and my co-passenger, female mid-30s, that could be raised, but it still didn't do much to separate us. He really didn't need to tell us all that. She started up a conversation, and being a little intoxicated, I was also feeling chatty. When she asked what I do, I mentioned I'm a doctor and I work at such and such hospital. After some more small talk, we both started doing our own thing. So, to sum that up, he was drunk, he was on a plane, he started talking to the girl next to him. Next, I was trying to watch my movie and enjoy my drinks when an announcement was made asking if there was a doctor on flight. Normally, I would present myself to the cabin crew and help out, but after several hours of on-flight boozing, I was pretty drunk. I was not able to think clearly and probably would have done more harm than good in such a situation. I continued watching my movie and drinking my drink. My co-passenger tapped me and said they just announced they need a doctor. I replied that someone else would help, or they would get instructions from the medical team on the ground. She tried convincing me to go help, but I refused. She then said I was an unbelievable AH, and if the passenger died, it was my fault. I said, listen lady, just because I'm a doctor doesn't mean I'm not on call 24/7 to provide medical care on demand. I work when I'm at the hospital. Outside, I'm just like everyone else, and I'm entitled to drink and relax. She had a disgusted look on her face, but didn't talk to me. After that, I didn't want to engage with her either. I'm not sure what happened to the passenger who needed medical assistance, but since I didn't hear any more announcements, I assumed all was well. While exiting the aircraft, this lady called me an AH again. In my mind, I'm very clear that since I was intoxicated, I could not provide medical assistance. I was drinking on my own time, and there was no expectation that I would need to be sober. Doctors get to enjoy life too. I can't stay sober on every flight just in case there's an emergency. I don't think I'm the a-hole, but I thought I'd get external opinions. AITA. Okay. So, he's not an a-hole. Like, I understand what he's saying. I'm sure you do too. He was too drunk to, help the person. I get it. So there was no reason for him even to, raise his hand and say, hey, I'm a doctor. Although, he could have been like, hey, I am a doctor, but I've been drinking, so I don't know if I could be much help. I guess it depends on how drunk was he. Was he completely out of his mind? He couldn't even, obviously Janie should not be cheating. Is it cheating though? I mean, let's be real. If you are able to find the questions to your English test on a website, is it your fault if you look at it? Whose fault is it? It's the fault of the English teacher for using like a test that's already on the internet. Unless it's some kind of dark website where someone is sharing like stolen exams or something, but if it's just like a quiz that's already online and the teacher is taking from there because they're too lazy to make their own, well, that's not really cheating, you know? But regardless, should the poster have taken a picture of it? Well, this poster had borrowed the computer from Janie. So Janie did her a favor by letting her use the computer. She takes a picture of this thing. Why? And then she gives it to the English teacher and says, look, Janie's a cheater. Well, she should expect Janie to hate her. And everyone will think she's like a snitch. I don't know, you know, like, on the other hand, it's not fair to Sophie for being number 2 when she, you know, when this other girl is maybe cheating. So, I mean, it's a sticky situation for sure. I don't know. I honestly can't say. Let's see what the people say. Someone said info. What she is doing side of the country when she was born, and I met Lindsay when she was about 6 months old. Really not hard to hide the whole thing. Edit 2. I am confused why a lot of Redditors are treating this like she's 5 and not 15. All I did was buy it, and she did all the paperwork and shipped it. It's not hard. Tricky. Well, so what should the parents have done? Should they have been honest with Lindsay and told her the truth about her birth, and at what time should they have told her that? Like, at what age? Like, how do you explain that to a child? Like, that is difficult. Much more difficult than telling a child that they were adopted altogether, you know? Because there's something, you know, some foul play involved here. Like, he cheated. And the father is her father, but the mother isn't her biological mother. So it's a messy situation, and they didn't want to tell her. Were they ever gonna tell her? I hope, but who knows? So the grandmother goes ahead and helps her to find out the truth. Now, should the grandmother have done it, though? I mean, if the girl had gone ahead and done it on her own, it's different, but here the grandmother is stepping in. Should she have done that, or should she have said, listen, honey, let's go talk to your parents together, even though she already spoke to the parents, so they were not going to be willing to let her take a DNA test, apparently. So I don't know. Is the grandmother wrong? Did she overstep her boundaries? I mean, Lindsay has a right to know. Well, let's see what the people say. NTA, not the AO. Your son and his wife suck for lying to her until she is 15 about something so important and trying to keep lying to her even after she obviously started to question things. There are medical reasons a person might need to know what the genetics are and are not, and if you hadn't helped her, she would have found out some other way. Yeah, she would have found out eventually. But, you know, by the time she was 18 and she could go ahead and take any test she wants, she would have found out. At least this way she knows she has one friend and ally who will be honest with her and take care of each other during this difficult time. I'm sure this isn't the first time that somebody's father cheated or mother cheated and had a baby and pretended to everyone that it was a baby from their marriage. Like, what do these people all do? Do they tell the kid? Like, what do they do? The age of keeping this sort of secret is over. DNA tests are a recreational activity these days. Another decade or two and there'll be a high school biology lab. The moment they banned her from her DNA test, they basically admitted to what happened. People caught up on these lies need to come clean now. The kids will find the truth now that is only $100 and 15 minutes of work. Good point. Okay. AITA for not buying snacks for my daughter's best friend at a playdate. That sounds bad. That sounds evil. Okay. I have an 11-year-old daughter, Ellie. She has a best friend, Sophie, 12. Both of the girls have special needs and are around 6 years old mentally. Sophie's mom called me yesterday and said they were at an indoor playground and Sophie wanted to know if Ellie could come and play. Sophie's mom offered to put me on her punch card. She prepays for 10 to 20 visits at a time because it's cheaper. So it would be free for me, so I got Ellie in the car and my kid, and it's not my job to take care of hers too. She said she paid for my kid to get in so I could cover the $2 for the goldfish. I told her if she wanted me to bring snacks, she should have told me when she invited me, but I won't be wasting $2 for a 50-cent bag of goldfish because she was unprepared. She went up to the front, and I don't know if she lied about not having money, but she came back with the goldfish and fruit snacks. Now she's being petty by asking me to pay her back for all the times we've used their memberships and guest passes, so we're not getting along. I'm going to have to see her at school drop-off, pick-up, ballet class, gymnastic class, and the girls' weekly play dates. So I wanted to know if I was the a-hole for not buying her kid a snack. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Obviously, this woman just paid for you and your daughter to come into this place, and those places are not cheap, okay? It's a lot more than $2 to go to an indoor playground. I assume it's one of those bouncy places, you know? One of those, like, what do you call it, like trampoline parks or whatever. They're expensive. So, and it's not like it wasn't free. This woman bought a prepaid card with X number of visits at it, so you save a little bit, but you pay. It's not free to this woman. She's using up some of her visits on you and your child. And then you won't give her $2 for the goldfish or whatever it said. It said, wait, she asked me to buy, yeah. What is the big deal? Like, I get it, she brought snacks, she's trying to be economical, we're all trying to be economical. And when I had little kids, I definitely brought snacks around. I didn't try to go there and buy all the snacks at places. I brought things with me when I could. But so she tries to be economical. She brings snacks. Now, she could have shared the snack, okay? But regardless, this woman just asked her for $2. Please, how cheap could you be? And then to write in to Reddit to ask if she is the a-hole. And now she's made a mess for herself because I'm sure this woman told everybody. She said now she's his wife were accepting. It says accepting. Expecting, I guess, is what she means. Because my daughters told me that they would get a sibling. Now this Friday was his week with the girls. He called me and asked if I could please take them earlier. When I asked him why, he told me that he needed to be with his wife at the hospital. I said no, that is not a reason to disobey the court order, and that he either could stay with the girls, leave the girls with the babysitter, or take them with him to the hospital. I hung up before he could continue. He texted me about 2 hours after, telling me that I was extremely sick in the head, and that for once he was in a situation where he needed my help, and I refused. His best friend, who was a mutual friend of ours until the divorce, also texted me and said that he hoped I was happy with myself. I don't get how I could be an a-hole, but it obviously seems like he and his best friend has come to that conclusion. If I am the a-hole, yes, I will apologize, but firstly, I need to know. Edit. My kids are fine, and I, of course, would have taken them if no one else was available. I am not a monster. They are currently with his best friend, as my ex is still in the hospital with his wife, so no. I would not him rather leaving them with a stranger, as many of you assume. Well, she didn't mention that her husband was like a horrible man and that he did terrible things when they were married. Like, she didn't say anything like that, so why does she need to be so spiteful? You know, because it's just really, really spiteful. And like, I imagine maybe she's very jealous of the fact that he and his wife are having a kid. You know, who knows what her situation is? Like, does she have a boyfriend or a husband or whatever, you know? So that's why she's behaving like this. But even when you feel that way in your heart, you still have to do certain things. So even if you are mad that your husband remarried and you're upset that he's having a baby, that's understandable. But if she is going to the hospital to have a baby, you know that he can't take your children to the hospital, or probably not, you know? Be real. You gotta take them. You gotta keep them that weekend. It's not that big of a deal. Alright, let's see what the people say. You are not just an a-hole, but outright cruel. Any reasonable person with an ounce of empathy or compassion would agree to watch someone's children so their parent could be with their spouse at the hospital, let alone agree to watch their own children. Not a reason to disobey the court order, my A. Think like a human being for 5 seconds. You clearly have some sort of vendetta against either your ex-husband or his wife, or both. You are definitely bitter about them having a baby together, and also don't seem to like your children very much, as any normal loving parent with split custody would jump at the chance to spend extra time with their kids. I think everyone is going to say the same thing. There's not too much else you could say to this. It can be so traumatizing for those kids. We've had parents with previously energetic, bouncing off the walls kids that brought them with to their delivery, and my doc says she can see the change immediately at their postpartum visits. The kids aren't the same. It makes me so sad. This person means it would be traumatizing if super healthy.